All right, you're all set.
All right, good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock on Monday, June 15th, and we'll call our City Commission meeting to order.
Gerrie.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Gerrie.
Here.
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath.
Here.
Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Talentino.
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Everybody's in attendance. If we could please rise, and City Manager, if you could mute everybody but Commissioner Miller, if that's possible.
All set, Brian?
Go ahead, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That was speedy. Number 4, mayor comments and general announcements. I have none this evening. Proclamations and recognitions, we have none. Item C, public comment. Is there anybody online that would like to reserve time to speak on any agenda item not to exceed 3 minutes? City Manager, I don't know. Are we corrected with the unlock or not really?
So I can mute everyone, but I cannot unmute. So
Okay, if
it looks to be one person from the public, quote unquote.
if you would like to have time to speak on any agenda item, if you could unmute and let us know. If not, we will go forward. All right, thank you. Item D, consent agenda. Deputy City Manager Troyer, take it away.
Under the consent agenda, 1, approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of June 1st, 2020. Item 2, acceptance of the Airport Advisory Board meeting minutes of May 14th, 2020. Item 3, acceptance of the March 2020 Board of Review meeting minutes. Item 4, authorization of merged temporary modification to benefit provisions. Item 5, authorization for the mayor and the deputy city manager to execute an easement agreement with Cloverland Electric Co-op for the purpose of electric service at Sherman Park Campground. And item 6 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
All right, thank you. Is there any item that any city commissioner would like removed for or further information on, or removed for different consideration? All right, Commissioner Twardy.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Gerrie.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
I apologize. I forgot to ask for questions or comments. I'm assuming nobody had any. All right, motion passed. Thank you. Under E, special orders of business, we have none. F, communications, we have none. So moving right along into item G, business items. Number 1, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up first for commission consideration is the award of a bid for the fire station facade upgrades. This was a project that was previously budgeted for at $100,000. The city had contracted with UP Engineer Architects to assist us in the interim period when we didn't have an engineer. They handled the bidding process. We received a few bids. They came in, the low bid being around $90,000. Most of this work is going to be to repair the facade of the fire hall, which is in need of repair. This is a previously budgeted project. We would look for a motion to award the bid to McGahee Construction in the amount of $90,780.
Thank you, City Manager. We'll go through the roll call. Commissioner Baker, any questions or comments on this item?
No, sir, thank you.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath,
No, thank you. Good.
Commissioner Collins?
So where's the funding gonna come from this? Was this money that was sitting in like a fund balance, or is this actually coming out of the general fund?
It was set aside in a capital projects fund. So it was probably originally from the general fund, but this was, how many years ago was it set aside? Kristin, do you remember?
It's relatively recent. I think we may have budgeted last year.
Okay.
I was actually writing the same question down for myself because I wanted to remember where the funding source was from. And so I can follow up with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller, any questions or comments?
Just a couple of comments, Your Honor. It's always nice to see a local company get work like this from us. I'm glad that McGahey Construction is getting it. And it's also nice to see they're almost 10 grand lower than we budgeted. Very nice.
Good comments. Commissioner Talentino, any questions or comments?
Just comment, Your Honor. After touring the exterior of that building about a year ago with the chief one day in one of our conversations, I was looking at the building and it is in much needed repair. We all would love to build a brand new fire hall, but as we know in the situation we're in now, that's not really going to happen. So I really do think we need to take care of this, and I'm in full support of that. That being said, I'll make the motion if you'd like, Your Honor.
Sure. I'll come right back to you after I hit Commissioner Twardy.
Yep.
Commissioner Twardy, any questions or comments?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
All right. Now, Commissioner Talentino, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept the bid for McGahey Construction LLC in the amount of $90,780, being the lowest bidder meeting specifications, and recommended from UP Engineer and Architects for the fire station facade project.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Are there any further questions? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Gerrie.
Yes. Motion is passed. Thank you. Item number 2, City Manager Chapman, half of the frame.
Yep, hold on a second, I'm just writing a note real quick. Sorry about that.
Nah, we'll slow her down.
All righty, up next for commission consideration is the last operational budget review for the current fiscal year. It was a rough year. I mean, a lot of these we shouldn't be too surprised about. There's some major costs that kind of came into play that we weren't anticipating, such as the tax tribunal costs.
Excuse me, City Manager, did you skip one?
Yeah, he did.
Probably.
We're on number 2 with Superior Insurance.
What am I on? 3.
You're
Sorry.
on budget review. 3.
Amateur hour. All right, I'm gonna get back to the agenda here. All right.
Thanks, Commissioner.
For commission consideration is a request for a 1-year extension with Superior Insurance to act as our health insurance agent services. This contract had expired a couple of months ago, or was about to expire a couple of months ago, but based on the activities around COVID and the difficulty in securing, is there something going on? I'm sorry. Securing a new agent, staff and I felt it would be best just to give a 1-year extension. Usually this is coordinated with the Special Health Determining Committee, but again, everything was kind of difficult to schedule around. So we're asking for a 1-year extension of this contract. Staff will follow up probably in the winter time with getting bids out and analyzing the RFPs. Given the workload that Deputy Manager typically handles this process, but given the workload with an election year, we felt it best just to wait about 6 more months. So we're looking for a motion to authorize the 1-year extension.
Thank you, City Manager. Commissioner Bosbous Rath, any questions or comments?
No, thank you. I'm good.
Commissioner Collins?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Miller?
How often does this go out for bids?
The last contract was probably about 3 to 5 years. Robin, do you have any idea?
3 years, so that this would have been the end of the 3-year agreement with Superior, and typically we would have bid it this year for another 3-year extension, but because of COVID, we weren't able to do that.
I understand.
Commissioner Talentino,
Well, thank you, Your Honor.
Commissioner Twardy,
No, thank you.
Commissioner Baker,
No, thank you.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath, would you like to make the motion?
Absolutely. I motion to authorize the city manager to execute a 1-year extension agreement with Superior Insurance Agency for health insurance agent services for a term of July 1st, 2020 to July 30th, 2021, as approved by the Special Health Determining Committee.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments before we vote?
Just in case there's a legal thing about it, it's June 30th, 2021, not July. Just in case it's read in there like that.
Okay.
I believe the motion was read to July. I'm sorry. Just, if
Okay.
it's written in somewhere and it's a legal thing, it's June.
All right, thank you. We'll make sure it's straight. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Gerrie,
Yes,
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
motion is passed. Thank you. Item number 3 now. Manager. Now we move into the operational budget review.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
As I was saying, for commission consideration is our final operational budget review for the current fiscal year, which ends at the end of the month. A lot of these, am I on the right one again? No. A lot of the items we kind of anticipated, unfortunately not at the beginning of the budget process though. There's a lot of costs, or there's some costs that got a little higher than what we were anticipating. And of course, there's the effect of COVID with the decreasing revenues coming out through the various sources like the general fund and our road funding system. So there's a lot of recommendations for changes, some small, some major. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them. We can discuss them further. But staff and I would look for a motion to approve the changes as presented. You can read the motion all entirety if you want, but a motion to approve as presented would suffice for this as well. So are there any questions about where we're at or where we're going? So I guess just one quick comment too. A lot of these are still estimates. A good amount of them are bringing them in line with end of the years or actuals. There's a fair amount that are still estimates. We are estimating on a conservative basis, so we may be overestimating, but we want to make sure that we have proper authorization if they do go a little bit higher. So some of these are conservative. The department heads are on kind of a purchasing freeze right now. So if something seems a little bit extreme, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're trying to go above what that threshold is. We're obviously trying to come under budget on a lot of things, but 2020 has been a particularly difficult year for us. So if there's any questions or if there's like any further explanation on any of these items, we'd be happy to address them.
All right, thank you, City Manager. We'll go through the roll call. Commissioner Collins,
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Miller.
I have no questions, but I'd love to read it. It's going to be longer than the meeting.
Yeah. Commissioner Talentino, any questions or comments?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yeah, just if Brian could just give a quick summary just for the audience and maybe for the newspaper. What's the bottom line for transfers out or budget shortfall? Would you or transfers out?
Thank you.
So I'll do budget shortfalls. I'm not particularly sure about transfers off the top of my head, but you know, the biggest one is going to be the general fund. The general fund is going to be short, I believe. Let me just pull it up real quick. I may have passed it. Revisions, legislative, budget revisions, request for public safety, DPW. Hold on a second, I just got to pull up my notes. So the general fund is going to be short about 450,000, if I'm reading this correctly. So a lot of these things will be backfilled with fund balance. We're going to be utilizing fund balance. We are going to see a dip in the ratios. We had kind of at 18% fund balance ratio anticipated for this year, but obviously with the significant loss of revenues and some of the increased expenditures that weren't anticipated, it's going to be decreased down to 10% is what we'll be holding for a fund balance ratio. So following year, we're anticipating it to go up a little bit more, or excuse me, it's 14%, not 10%. Yeah, excuse me, 14%. So it's going down from 18% to 14%. So we'll try to get that up a little bit more, but it's certainly going to be difficult moving forward. So it's a little bit of a gap that we got to fill with fund balance.
Thank you for changing that 10% to 14%. I thought we were going to have to send the fire chief out to Greg's house. So I think maybe he'll be okay for a few minutes. Thank you for your comments.
Commissioner Baker, any questions or comments?
No, sir, thank you.
And Commissioner Bosbous Rath, any questions or comments?
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Miller, did you want to make the motion without reading the entire thing?
Sure, you don't want me to read this?
Well, if you'd really like to, but.
No, thank you, Connor. I move that we accept the recommended action for the operational budget review as presented. How's that?
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved and supported. Are there any other questions or comments in regard to this issue? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Gerrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed. Item number 4, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For commission consideration, there's another budget revision for the DDA. Some of these are just bringing estimates to actuals. So we would look for a motion to approve the changes as presented as well.
Commissioner Miller, any questions or comments on these?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Commissioner Talentino,
Nope, no, thank you, Your Honor. All set.
Commissioner Twardy,
No, thank you.
Commissioner Baker,
No, thank you.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath,
No, thank you, I'm good.
Commissioner Collins.
No, thanks.
Commissioner Collins, do you want to make the motion?
Sure. Motion to authorize the budget revisions to the DDA funds for the 2019-20 fiscal year as requested by the DDA board, and then the rest of it that's listed.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Are there any questions or comments for the city manager? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Gerrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion is passed. Thank you. Item number 5, city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is the approval of a compensation contract with the city's current FBO. There's an agreement that established the relationship with the fixed base operator from a couple of years ago. This is approved annually at this point. The terms of the contract is about $80,000. This is a budgeted amount. We have the funds for this contract. Staff and I would look for approval of the contract. If there's any other questions, Director Holt is here to provide further comments as well.
Thank you, City Manager. Commissioner Talentino, any questions for City Manager or Director Holt?
No, Your Honor, I'm all set. Thank you.
Commissioner Twardy?
No,
Any
thank
questions
you.
or comments? Commissioner Baker, any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath, any questions or comments?
No, thanks.
Commissioner Collins, do you have any questions or comments?
I
You're
do.
the liaison to the airport, so.
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to have the, I don't know if Jeff's out there or not, but the question I have is, the idea behind this was to bring them in, and then as their revenues increase, this $80,000 subsidy would be reduced. So I guess my question is, have we looked at their revenues to determine if this could be reduced? I don't know if does that answer.
The revenues, unfortunately, haven't increased a whole lot, and of course, with the last 3 months, did not help. So the only thing we've got to go on are the figures really from June of last year through December, and the repair classes and maintenance classes are going well, and all that is going to be have a positive impact on their budget. And out of that $80,000, he also pays a couple of folks' salaries along with his. So that all that $80,000 doesn't go to the fixed-based operator. And you know, he does have other sources of income, but the $80,000 goes a long ways at the airport.
So Jeff, are you comfortable with the way that the FBO is reporting to you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a very good handle on how things are going and how things are operating. And the nice thing about the open relationship is that we know what's going in and out, number one. And number two, the Michigan Department of Transportation can issue a report on the return on investment for our airport, which is very, very important to everyone. And our return on investment is around 37 to 1. So that's a really good number for us. And we had some challenges over the winter after a couple of storms, but we're learning. We now have a procedure on the snowstorm and what things need to be done in what order. We're making sure that we raise the rent on the hangars. Not too much, but to keep in line with our area. So things are going very well. We've had some hiccups along the way, but all in all, the fixed base operator is doing what he needs to do and what he is expected to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Miller, do you have any questions or comments on this item?
Jeff, you said that out of this $80,000 that fixed-based operator pays some other salaries, or what? Who are those folks? Are they?
Those are local folks that work for him on a daily basis. Plus, in the wintertime, he'll pick up some part-time folks to help get rid of snow and that sort of thing. So
I guess what I'm driving at is any local folks?
They're all local.
All.
Everyone.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you. That's what I was driving at. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Baker, would you like to make a motion on this one?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the city manager to sign the FBO compensation agreement for the fiscal year 2020-21 for Sanderson Field.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments for city manager or Director Holt? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Gerrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Motion is passed. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Item number 6, city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next item is a request to go into closed session to discuss the process for collective bargaining agreements. As we mentioned, we have 3 of them that are open right now. We have to negotiate them. So this would be a request to go into closed session. There will be no action items taken on this item after we come out of this. So we would look for approval. Once we're done with the other public business, we would enter the closed session for discussions. So we would we would look for a motion to be approved as presented in the recommended action.
All right, so we're looking for a motion to move into closed session after our public meeting, and we will not return with any recommendations. Who has their microphone off? Commissioner Miller?
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion to enter into closed session for strategy and negotiation session connected with the negotiation of collective bargaining agreements in accordance with Section 8C of the State of Michigan Open Meetings Act at the end of this meeting.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Gerrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bosbous Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino.
Yes.
Motion passed. At the conclusion of this meeting, then we will go into closed session. Item H, city manager announcements and updates. Looks blank, but do you have anything for us?
I do, and I apologize for not putting them in there, but I have a couple of things. So first and foremost, we're happy to report that we've made a hire for a water superintendent. If you recall, there was an article that came out, a well-written article, might I say, came out probably about a month or so ago with a follow-up on 9 and 10 News regarding the city's status of not having a properly certified operator on staff role. So we were able to make that hire. We've been trying for the last 8 months to make that hire. Eagle is happy with our hire. He's going to be starting next Monday. He'll be taking over the water treatment plant and the water distribution side of the operations. So with that, we will be in full compliance with the state, and we anticipate no further fees, which is kind of the biggest thing, or fines, I should say. That's good news. The Power Canal project is still moving forward. We were able to resecure some of the grants from the state for the CAP grants, which is a Transportation Alternatives Project grant. We have all that stuff certified. We're going to be bidding that work out at the end of the summer and looking for construction early spring 2021. This one just kind of came hot off the email line here this afternoon. So we received an offer from Myers regarding our tax tribunal case. It's time sensitive, so we're going to have to try to schedule a quick commission meeting to go into a closed session, discuss their offer, and then possibly come to action after that to either approve or disapprove the settlement. So we're going to be reaching out to all of you to try to schedule something. We're going to shoot for Wednesday evening. Would that just tentatively kind of work for everyone, Wednesday evening?
This Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Via Zoom or in session?
Nope, Zoom. We'll do Zoom.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So we'll shoot for Wednesday. We'll send you guys the email and the links for all that. Jack, our attorney with Foster Swift, will be present during that Zoom meeting as well. So we'll be able to get you up to speed on where we're at with that. So
same time.
I'm sorry.
7 o'clock Wednesday.
Maybe earlier if we can. I wouldn't mind an earlier one, just so we're not later. But does everybody want later, or do you want it a little bit earlier?
Doesn't matter to me.
I'm open.
Okay.
Not
Commissioner
4 o'clock.
Collins?
Not 4 o'clock though, like a 2 or a 7.
Okay. All right, that'll work. All right, and that's all I have for updates at this time.
Brian,
Thank you.
text me that information.
Yes, sir. I will do that.
All right, thank you, City Manager. Item I, matters presented by the public. Would anybody in the public like to present to the City Commission at this time? You'll have to unmute your own system there. Anybody in the audience like to make any comments? All right, moving on. Matters presented by the City Commission. Commissioners. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're up.
I have a couple of questions for the city manager, if I may.
Sure.
Brian, going back to some of your comments about the little glitch we had there at the water treatment plant, whatever. I know Mr. Morrow, Jim Morrow, held a lot of licenses that made him invaluable to us up until his retirement. My question is, how many? I don't think we don't have anyone that has all those licenses that he carried, correct? One person.
No, so, and that's
how many people do you think we've had to hire to replace him? And what's the fiscal responsibility there?
So DPW, former DPW Director Monroe held the necessary water treatment plant license, the necessary wastewater plant license, the necessary water distribution license, and the necessary stormwater industrial license, something for the airport. And I apologize for not getting the name right. But in the time since he's left, we've finally hired a water superintendent who has the proper water plant and water distribution licenses. So there's 2 licenses in that one person, which is typical of that position. That's the way things usually are. Tracy Leighton at the airport, she has taken her certification for the industrial stormwater side of operations at the airport. We also have Street Superintendent Eric Fountain, who signed up to take that, as well as 1 or 2 other DPW employees. So we'll have some redundancies on that. So those ones did not require any new hires. And that leaves the wastewater treatment plant, which we will need to come to terms and probably figure out a new position for that one. The tricky part about both the plants, the water treatment plant and the wastewater plant, they are very technical processes, and you need someone that specializes in those plants. It can't be managed by a person who's a generalist like myself, and you can't take a water manager and have them oversee the wastewater manager. Now, what former Director Monroe did for us was a cost-saving measure, but in hindsight, we maybe should have de-evolved that position to a couple other ones earlier before his retirement, and not right now as we're trying to untangle those knots. So, it may have not been in the best interest. It could have been in the best interest at the time. Hindsight will tell us what's right and what's wrong, but the wastewater plant is going to be a critical operation moving forward. There's been a lot of deferred maintenance over the years on that plant, and we're going to need somebody with some with the expertise in those plants to be able to really carry that plant forward. It's also linked to a lot of the CSO work that we've been doing for the last 30 years or so. So the 2 positions themselves, the water side of the operations and the wastewater, those typically are never really conjoined. They're just 2 different systems. They're 2 different licenses. They're 2 different training and backgrounds. So we're going to have to find a way of getting us up to compliance on the wastewater side of things. We've got a couple of really good local guys that we could pull from, but we're going to have to pull from them. And that's going to result in maybe the creation of a new position. But there is an opportunity with our workforce, as maybe 1 or 2 retire out, maybe we don't have to refill some of those positions just based on operational efficiencies. If we had 1 supervisor down at a plant, we may not need as many boots on the ground operators kind of running things. So there's some opportunities there. The last comment I'd have, the new water superintendent that were hired, great guy, comes with a lot of good background. He started off in the city of Midland and their water plant, which has a very good reputation for managers within that facility. But he is at this isn't a point of bragging by any means, so don't take it that way, but the rate at which we pulled him in was under Moreau's salary. So there is a little bit of cost savings there. So if we do create a new position, it's not going to be, double what Moreau was making. So there's a little bit of savings there. So, it's going to be tough. We'll have to make some hard decisions again, but this is something we're going to have to do, and we just need to figure out the best way of doing it. So.
Thank you for explaining that. Thanks.
Water and
Sorry,
sewer are those essential services that we provide to the community. So
Yeah.
thank you. Good explanation. Commissioner Twardy, you had your finger up.
I did. I just wanted to say that the article for the Match on Main announcement came out this afternoon, even though Justin knew the information before this. The article is official, and so we had 25 small businesses throughout our DDA area who all received a little small $2,000 grant from the state of Michigan to help recover from COVID. So 25 businesses in our downtown area received that grant award today. So congratulations to Justin, and I'm happy for all the business owners who maybe it'll shed a little silver lining what we've been dealing with.
How much were the grants?
$2,000 for each business.
$2,000?
So
Oh, nice.
$2,000, yeah, total for our community.
Good job, DDA. Any other commissioners? Any questions or comments? Commissioner Miller.
I'm sorry, I had one more question for the city manager.
Okay.
And Brian, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but ever since this COVID virus, things change day to day. I was wondering, the last time I heard, a few weeks ago, they were talking about opening up the International Bridge on the 21st of June. That's been changed since then. I haven't heard a date. It seemed a little ambiguous. They just said towards the end of July. Now, I don't know if that's on our side or if that's coming from the Canadian side, but I know our neighbors to the north have a great impact on our economy. And I know we'd like to get the bridge open. We'd like to get these folks back over here shopping. A lot of the stores I've been going to, some of them are, I know a lot of people are staying at home because they're still scared of the virus, but they're just not the people in town that we need to get the economy back and going. I was wondering if Brian, if you or anyone in the city has had any contact with anyone on this side of the bridge or that side of the bridge. Do they have something nailed down a little bit more than, maybe the end of July?
I think it's the end of July, unless it's been updated, but I believe a lot of that's coming from the Canadian side of the government. I think our side, America, I think we want to open the bridges because it's not just ours, it's closed. It's obviously the Blue Water Bridge down in Detroit and Port Huron and all those areas. So there's a push from the Americans to get the bridges open as soon as possible. Obviously, because we want our economy to kind of jump back up. But there's a push on the Canadian side that wants to keep it closed. And, I'm not purview to a lot of those conversations. A lot of it is, speculation.
Let me interrupt you for a second. I do know that Justin Trudeau said that he has his Zoom meetings or his telephone meetings with the premiers around the country in Canada. And he says the first thing they say to him is, we want to keep them closed. I just wondered if we're having any contact with anybody over there to see like I said, I don't even know a date for July. It just said, maybe the end of July.
Yeah, and we don't have conversations with the decision makers that high level, but I know we've reached out to some of our counterparts in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and for what it's worth, we've reached out and said we wish the border was open, and they said, yeah, maybe, but there's not a lot of input from us into that process. We have one thing that we're going to do tomorrow. It's the virtual bridge walk where some of us on the American side are going to meet halfway with some of the personnel and civil leaders from Sault, Ontario to do a photo op kind of thing. But yeah, we don't have a lot of opportunities to provide input or input into that decision-making process. And I think a lot of it is on the Canadian side. I think there's a health concern there, but there could be a little bit of financial concern. All that money that, our sister city would typically see come over the bridge is now within their community. So I mean, there could be a financial interest in keeping a lot of that stuff there too. But again, that's all speculation. I could probably put my tinfoil hat on and come up with dozens of reasons why they want to keep it closed. But what's true and what's not, I don't know. But after a very long answer, the short answer to your question is end of July. And that's been a moving target as well, just like most things on the Michigan side. But yeah, right now I believe it's end of July.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Dana Sanderson and Debbie Jones and the crew in the downtown area for helping water all of the downtown flowers. And they're looking for volunteers to help do that. So I don't know if maybe Taylor can mention that in the newspaper to help do that on the weekends. Takes about 2.5 hours. So keep our flowers from dying that we got. So appreciate them doing that.
That's a good point. They've worked hard down there. Any other commissioner comments before okay, so seeing none, now we'll need a motion to adjourn this meeting and move into a closed session. Commissioner Twardy?
I move to adjourn this meeting and move into closed session.
Or
Been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. City manager, do you X everybody off now?
Yep, just give me a second.
Anybody need a break or can we go right into it?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'd say, let's go.
All right, hold on. Sorry, Taylor, I'm going to remove you. We're going to close session. Boy, this stuff makes me nervous. All right, let me just make sure who is here, who's supposed to be here is here. Nobody else. And I am going to stop recording.
Why is Talentino still here?
Oh, that's pretty.
I was going to say, if you